You know that feeling when you get completely hooked on a TV show? I mean, so invested you're clearing your schedule for it, and it just lives in your head rent-free long after the credits roll? Yeah, it's a feeling we all know, and the reasons why that happens are way more fascinating than you might think.
So, let's just get right into it. What is it that makes a show completely unmissable? It doesn't matter if we're talking about a super stylish spy show from the swinging 60s or a tense modern submarine thriller. Some shows just grab you and do not let go. So let's explore what's really going on when we press play.
To figure this out, we're going to put two very different but equally magnetic shows side by side. In one corner, you've got the 1960s classic, The Avengers. Think suave spies and high-fashion fantasy. And in the other corner, the 2020s hit, Vigil, a claustrophobic, high-stakes conspiracy thriller. These shows are decades apart, totally different styles, but they both had their audiences absolutely captivated. The big question is, how? So here's our game plan. We'll start with the big idea, the core theory, and then we'll break down the four main reasons we watch TV: finding our identity, getting information, pure escapism, and of course, social connection. And then at the end, we're going to turn it all back to you.
Okay, so the key to unlocking all of this is a really brilliant idea called Uses and Gratifications Theory. Now, what's so cool about this is how it completely flips the old question on its head. It stops asking, what does media do to people? And instead it asks, what do people do with media? See the difference? The whole idea is that we're not passive sponges, we're active users, and we choose our shows to satisfy very specific needs.
And to make it super simple to remember, these needs form a handy little acronym, PIES. That stands for personal identity, information, entertainment, and social interaction. This is going to be the exact framework we use to compare our two shows. Ready? Let's dig in.
All right, first up, the P in PIES, personal identity. This is all about how we use television to figure out who we are, to find role models, and to see our own values reflected back at us.
And it's just brilliant to see how this one need gets met in such different ways over time. You go back to the 60s, and audiences watching The Avengers saw these aspirational heroes, right? The impossibly cool and capable Steed and Emma Peel. Then you fast forward to Vigil, and the connection is way more grounded. Viewers can actually relate to Detective Amy Silva's very real struggles with anxiety and all the pressure she's under. It just goes to show we see ourselves not just in who we want to be, but also in who we are.
And get this. Back in the 60s, your identity could literally be tied to the channel you were watching. Choosing ITV for The Avengers, that was a statement. It kind of branded you as more down-to-earth compared to what people saw as the more stuck-up audience for the BBC. The channel itself was like a badge of who you were.
Okay, let's move on to our next slice. I for information. This one taps into our natural curiosity, that desire to learn stuff, to gain a bit of knowledge, and to get a peek into worlds we wouldn't normally get to see.
Both of our shows delivered this, but from completely different angles. The Avengers was pure fantasy, yeah? But it still gave its audience a look in at this glamorous, upper-middle-class life and the secret world of spies. Vigil, on the other hand, gives us a sense of looking in that feels intensely real. You feel like you're actually learning about Navy operations, police procedures, and even the complex real-world politics of Britain's nuclear submarines. So, here's the bottom line for this part. Whether it's a fantastical world of spies or the claustrophobic reality of a nuclear submarine, we are just drawn to stories that pull back the curtain and show us a world that's not our own. All right, on to the big one, the one we all think of first. E for entertainment. I mean, this is probably the most obvious reason we watch TV, for diversion, for escapism, and just for the simple, amazing pleasure of a good story.
And what's so cool here is how the flavor of that entertainment has changed. The Avengers offered a really comforting kind of escapism. It was this magical world where, at the end of every single episode, the good guys won. It was predictable, sure, but in a really satisfying way. Vigil gives us escape through pure adrenaline. Its entertainment is built on suspense, on high-stakes action, and of course, on those killer cliffhangers that are just designed to make you desperate for the next episode.
Yeah. Modern thrillers like Vigil are masters of using what are called enigma codes, basically big, juicy, unanswered questions that they plant right at the very beginning. Remember that opening scene where the fishing trawler gets mysteriously dragged underwater? That's the enigma. It's a puzzle that grabs you right away and promises you one heck of a ride to find the answer.
And that brings us to our final slice of PIS, S for social interaction. Because at our core, we're social animals, and TV has always been this incredibly powerful tool for connecting with each other. Let's see how that's evolved.
This slide just captures the evolution perfectly. Back in the 60s, you only had a few channels, so huge chunks of the country were watching the exact same thing at the exact same time. This created the classic water cooler moment, that shared experience you could all talk about at work the next day. Today, we have second screening. We're watching the show on our TV while we're tweeting, texting, and posting on our phones, discussing it as it's happening. The venue has changed from the office to the internet, but the desire to connect is exactly the same.
So, while 60s viewers found that sense of community almost by default, a modern flagship show like Vigil can still create that massive, everybody's watching feeling. And this social need isn't just about other viewers. We also form these substitute relationships with the characters themselves. We feel like we know them. And that feeling was just as powerful for fans of Steed and Peele as it is for the crew of HMS Vigil today.
And that is the bottom line, right there. Even with 60 years of insane technological and cultural change, a hit TV show still does the same fundamental job. It gives us a shared experience, a common language to connect with the people around us.
Okay, so we've run both shows through our PIS framework. We've seen how they satisfy the same core needs, just in very different ways. So what's the big final takeaway from all of this? It really boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. The technology changes, but our human needs are timeless. The fundamental reasons we turn to our screens for stories have stayed remarkably consistent. It's just how those needs get met that's always evolving. So, to wrap it all up, the PIES framework shows us that whether we're watching in black and white on one of 3 channels or streaming in 4K while live tweeting, we are still looking for the same 4 things. We want personal identity, information, entertainment, and social connection. The technology is totally transformed, but the human needs haven't budged. The water cooler moment didn't die, it just logged on.
Which brings us to the final question, and this one is for you. Think about that show you absolutely can't miss, the one you're obsessed with right now. What slice of the PIS is it serving you? Is it personal identity? Do you see yourself in the characters? Is it information? Are you learning about a hidden world? Is it pure entertainment and escapism? Or is it social interaction, being part of that bigger conversation? Go ahead, think about it. It's a pretty fascinating way to understand not just the stories we love, but maybe a little bit more about ourselves, too.